again, if you have any questions afterwards, I'll go ahead and feel free to answer them towards the end of the webinar. There we go. So here's what we're going to go ahead and cover today. We're going to go ahead and cover on defining a lead, what is important in conversion, targeting the right leads and patients, teaching staff how to convert, how to keep your leads, and what not to do. So first off, let's talk about defining a lead. Google search is basically where many leads are generated. Using Google's algorithm, potential patients usually search keywords that will help them find businesses that can meet their needs. While the Google search can really help them pinpoint their business, it's going to be the website that really provides the potential patient with the information that they're going to need in order to find that. So this really can include a list of services that are available, your location, your contact information, maybe info about the doctors of the business, business info, that kind of stuff, and much more. So a user-friendly website is also going to encourage the public to spend more time on the website and potentially generate that lead. So you want to make sure that you have enough info on there that's compelling and it attracts people to want to stay on the website and possibly click on a call to action, which is going to go ahead and get them an appointment or get them into the office. So again, what role does it play? Well, it plays an important role. It's one of those things where you want to make sure that as you get the leads that come in, you can define them, whether they are through email, whether they are through phone leads, if they come in through the phone, if they're going to be through calendar, appointment requests from the website, that kind of thing. And they can be done anywhere. Again, like they can be done on the website, they can be done through the phone, they can be done through email, newsletters if you have them, iCards or e-cards, also review sites, different directory sites, that kind of thing. Word of mouth is also a great way. While it's often really kind of overlooked, word of mouth, basically it's just as crucial to a business's success as any digital channel. If a patient really feels like they received great care, they're going to go ahead and recommend your services to friends and family. And to be honest, a lot of times people take their word for it more than just a stranger. I would personally take a review from a friend or a family member over any stranger anytime. So that's basically what social networks do, review sites do, things like that. Social review sites, Facebook, Twitter, that kind of thing, they're actually going to have a lot of your friends and family there, and if they recommend a business to you, you're going to take their word for it more than just a stranger. So leads bring new clients into businesses, and as a result, obviously, it brings you more money. So if you're continually adding new clients, you're bringing in more money for their services. As long as the patient's really happy with their service, you'll continue to be employed by that individual and anyone else that they might possibly send your way. So again, when you want to target the right leads with those patients, keep your SEO in mind when you're uploading new content. Your content's going to have numerous keywords. Google's going to pinpoint for those searches. And basically, as a result, it's important that you're making sure to include any procedures or services that your business basically specializes in. If a potential patient, though, searches for a service you provide, remember, it's going to pull up your business's website in the list of best options. So when you have a page of content, let's just say, it's the home page. It's going to kind of have a broad spectrum of different content available. You want to make sure that if you talk about multiple services, that you actually have that on individual pages as well. That kind of goes a little more extensive on it. For instance, if you are a chiropractor or a veterinarian or whatnot, and let's say you have a page that lists 4 or 5 different services, you might want to have individual pages that go more in depth on those services. You can even have that main page that, maybe your home page that has all those different services on there, have a link for each service that goes to those individual services. That's also a great SEO boost. So these are the things that you want to keep in mind so that when people look for your business online, that they actually are looking for what they actually want. If you have multiple services, you have to give them options and make those options available so that way they know which ones to click. And of course, a really important part of it is training your team. So entire teams should really be aware of how important leads are. Again, you want to make sure that you don't have leads coming in that are getting blocked or bottlenecked by someone that's not trained properly at the front desk, or someone that's answering the phones that isn't properly trained on how to capture those leads or convert those leads for you. So while it might not really guarantee the patient paying for your services, it's really a good rule of thumb to treat them as you would a paying client. Every single prospect or potential client obviously is potential, even though they might not come into your office that day, they might come in at a later time. So if a team recognizes the same end goal of attracting those patients, they can really help assist in that process. You'll be able to see more benefits out of it. And remember, employees can also help to generate those leads. They're a great way to really see if a business is worth looking into, how many times you've asked someone if they like their job, if they're happy there, if the employee will want to share the benefits of the business and what it's done to help them accomplish. This really kind of provides a positive outlook for a potential patient who's heard from someone actually working on the other side of the desk. A lot of times people don't want to go somewhere where the employees just look unhappy, because usually if that's the case from them working there, then the service is probably not going to be that great either. So you want to make sure that you kind of keep in mind, top of mind, how your employees are as well. If they're having any issues, if they see things, they're there all the time. They're in the trenches. They're going to see clients and patients that come in every single day, and they talk to them every single day, maybe even more so than the doctors do. And they're going to be the first ones that you want to talk to find out, what's the most commonly asked question, what's the most common concern, what type of patients come in, what is the reason why these people don't come in. They're going to be the front gatekeeper for you to really kind of gauge your clientele and kind of gauge how those patients are coming in, so that way you can kind of better adapt your methods, or maybe better adapt your strategy as far as marketing goes, to make sure to keep those potential clients, or to retain them, and then to get more potential clients as well. So generating the lead really is only half the battle. So the other half is really making sure you can keep it and retain it. So it's important to make sure you don't lose the lead by making every effort to touch base with them. You want to make sure to follow up with a potential client. If they leave a message, maybe if they send an email to you, you want to make sure and respond. Use this really as an opportunity to establish rapport and to get to know that individual. They're going to be a little apprehensive going into your practice, because if anything that has to do with healthcare, their body, their pets, whatever it may be, they're going to take a little more seriously. So you want to make sure that they are feeling comfortable with you and that you kind of build that rapport with them. They're really kind of more likely to return if they feel like their practitioner cares about how they are doing, as well as kind of remembers every time that they see them for an appointment. You want to make sure that you remember little key things. I'm not saying you have to remember every single thing that the patient tells you about their personal life, but if there's something that you think that would be important to remember, it might be a little effort, but it might actually help out in the long run. Because a lot of times, personally, when I go to a doctor, or when I go to get checked up, or when I go to get something looked at, if they can remember the last time I was there and just remember a small snippet of something we talked about, that makes me feel more comfortable. It makes me feel like they actually listen as opposed to just hearing what I say. So what you want to do is you want to make sure to train your staff. Feel out what your staff is doing. Don't forget to train them, and tell them the importance of conversions. Again, metrics are a big part of it as well. That you're going to get from social media. You're going to also get from your website. These are things that you want to also track to see if anyone is possibly going to certain pages that they are interested in, and the ones that they maybe aren't interested in. You can see that in analytics. We can, of course, help you out with that as well, to read your analytics and kind of tell you the status of your website and what you're doing and what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Maybe certain pages that you thought were going to be great info are actually not, and it's hindering people from wanting to get to the info that they need. So you can remove that page. There's a lot of different ways you can look at the analytics in that way and all the metrics that way, and it'll definitely help you out. Oh, sorry, long slide there. So what you want to go ahead and do is you want to make sure that as you kind of follow up with these clients and these patients, you want to make sure and see that if they're contacting you, you want to refer back to them. You want to basically comment back on them. If they're going to go ahead and go on social media, they're going to ask you questions on social media, make sure you have someone appointed to that. If you have someone that comes in asking questions about pricing or anything like that, or if they have a concern, make sure you're asking them what the concern is. You want to ask them, of course, exactly why is it that they maybe aren't going to be coming in. If it's something price-wise, kind of find out why. That's a great way to kind of find out how your pricing compares to competitors. You don't want to lowball yourself or undercut yourself, but you want to see basically why people are maybe not coming to you and they're going to your competitor across the street or across the way. Again, when you have someone call in and they talk to the front desk, you need to make sure that you have the front desk also ask, where did they hear about you guys from? Did you find us online? Did you find us from the website? Maybe even give them a list of different places that your phone numbers are, your name, address, phone number, that kind of thing. So that way you can kind of keep track, again, with the metrics on how many people are actually calling into those numbers. That's one of the biggest things that I've noticed that certain clients that call into us have an issue with, is not being able to track certain things like that. And to be honest, it's really kind of only half the battle, because when someone calls in, they might call into a call tracking number, but you need to make sure that if they actually got that call tracking number from Google, maybe they got it from a PPC ad, maybe they got it from a flyer that you have, who knows? You want to make sure that you have everything tracked and that your front desk is understanding of that. If anyone's really kind of if anyone on your team is really kind of fuzzy on how the process works, really take the time to maybe answer their questions. Keep in mind, a well-informed team will also be able to provide the best experience possible for your clients, for your patients. So you probably should have a meeting, once a month or so, kind of addressing certain things with your staff, addressing concerns, addressing issues that come up, things that maybe they hear from the clients that come in, people that call in, that kind of thing. And that way you can kind of better gauge, how that's going to go. That way you can better gauge, what you need to do, maybe what you need to change. There's a lot of reasons why people might come in and they only come in once and they don't continue to come in later. It could be, one, the experience. It could be the environment. Maybe they don't like the environment of how things are in the office. Who knows? If your website, again, since your website is the window to your practice, if your website isn't, up to date, if it's not got the current content on there, if your content's old from like a year ago or a year and a half ago and it's not relevant anymore, you want to make sure to update it and refresh it. Maybe your whole website just needs a refresh in itself. Maybe it needs a new skin, a new look, just to kind of, revitalize it. So there's different things that you can do to kind of think about that, and you want to make sure that if you have anyone that comes in that way, that you definitely find out the pain points. Just the same way you find the pain points from them, you need to find the pain points for your practice and your services and that kind of thing. One way you can actually try to increase the amount of leads that you get is through social media, where you can actually go through Facebook, and depending on how many contacts, let's say if you have a certain amount of contacts in your database, let's say you have 500 contacts. I'm sure you probably have more, but let's say you have 500 contacts. You can then go to Facebook and you can actually upload a .csv file, an Excel sheet file with all those contacts, and what it will do is Facebook will create its own little Facebook invite, and it'll actually invite all those contacts to go like your page. So that's kind of twofold. One, it'll help to increase the likes on your business page, your Facebook page, and two, it'll give you the option and opportunity to reach out to them and keep that rapport. To help engage them, because social media and Facebook is one of the best ways to gather new patients, which a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think it's just for social, people being social and content and stuff like that. But it's actually a great lead gen tool, because you can have certain contests on Facebook. You can promote certain posts and add different offers. The great thing about it is the fact that everyone that's on Facebook, again, there's over 1 billion people on Facebook right now. Every single person that has a friend list or a contact list on Facebook, they're all friends and they're all family members. They're all acquaintances. They're all people that you know. I highly doubt, there's probably people out there that have a lot of people that they don't know, but majority of the people all know each other that are on their friends list. So whenever they recommend a service or recommend a business based off of, let's say, a business page like yours that they like or they're a fan of, they can link to it, or they can tag you in it, or hashtag. They'll tag you in it and then basically say how much they had a great experience. If they check into your place, which I recommend having people check in, maybe have a check-in offer at your location to give them, 10% off or something, or whatever it may be. If they check in, so they can check in on Yelp, they can check in on Facebook. People will see that, and not just the people that are your fans or your friends or people that liked your business page, but people that are their friends and family. So if I have 1,000 people on my friends list and I like your business, and I check into your business and I comment on how great the service was, people on my 1,000 friend list will actually see that because it's coming from me, and they'll actually see that I'm tagging you. And what that does is it helps you reach to people that you never were going to reach out to before. It actually has the potential. It's free PR, so it's basically a way for people to see that I had a great experience with you, and they're going to take my word for it, probably more than someone, I'd have to say probably more than someone on Yelp or Angie's List or something like that, because a lot of times those people, even though they might be good reviews, they are probably going to be just complete strangers. And I am a big, big researcher when it comes to shopping, especially electronics. I mean, I'm sure anyone is. I will go to every electronic website I can think of, look at every single review, do comparisons. I mean, I'm looking at everything because whenever I buy something online, it's hard for me because you can't tangibly see it or feel it. You know, you just don't know. You want to know how other people's experiences are. Now, with a service-based business, it's going to be similar, very similar, because there's nothing that you have to experience it in order to review it. There's nothing you can see and touch and kind of see for yourself. You have to actually experience it. So the reviews are very, very important. And although you might see a bunch of 5-star reviews on a business, in my personal opinion, again, it's my opinion, if I had a friend or family member and maybe a good handful of them say, you know what, don't go to that business, it's horrible, trust us, even though this person might have 20 or 30 plus 5-star reviews, I'm probably going to trust my family and my friends over any review from a stranger any day. And so that's just how that works. Now, although those reviews are important and you still want to gather those reviews, don't shortchange Facebook and social media because that's an important spot. So that's going to help get you some leads that you probably didn't have before, especially if you throw some kind of contest, some kind of, not necessarily contest, but some offer on there. Maybe it's a monthly offer that just runs for the month, you know, that kind of thing. It'll help to kind of gather some more attention. You can also do paid advertising through Facebook, which helps to promote your posts. It helps to reach people that you weren't able to reach before. If you don't currently do PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising, it's Google advertising, I do recommend that if you are having a hard time getting any kind of leads organically, basically through, you know, search engine optimization through Google, then maybe try paid advertising through Google, which will help to get you to the top and help to get you to be seen by people that normally wouldn't. Now, if you're in a business area where it's industrial, you know, it's a commercial, you know, area, like you don't have a lot of business, you don't have a lot of residential areas, and they're probably a couple miles down the way, whatever it may be, you can actually target those, geo-target those specifically with pay-per-click advertising. You can actually, if you're surrounded by a bunch of bodies of water, maybe, or if you're just in the area that you only want small snippets of areas and not the whole area, you can do that as well. You can do it by zip code. I mean, there's a lot of great things you can do. You can actually not include certain areas. You can exclude a lot of areas if you want to make sure that it doesn't go to that area specifically and maybe every area around it. So if you're already dominating your local area and you want to kind of expand your reach, PPC is the way to go. If it's one of those things where maybe you are doing PPC because your SEO isn't that great right now, maybe you're not ranking organically on the first or second page, that's something to also consider. You want to make sure to have, you know, custom content tailored to your practice. You want to make sure it's up to date, that it's refreshed. It's one of those things where you don't want to have content laying there for a year, especially if it's a service-based industry where you're going to have certain techniques and services that might change over the time. You definitely want to look at those pages first. And the more content, the better. Content is still king. You want to make sure that you have all of that stuff squared away so that anytime someone searches for you, let's say, I'll use a chiropractor for instance. Let's say you have someone that's searching for car accident injury. Well, if on your website you don't have anything about car accident injury except for a couple sentences, it's going to be very difficult to pull you up compared to other businesses that have websites that have a full page or two about that. Same thing goes for any other business. If it's an optometrist, if it's a veterinarian, a yoga studio, whatever it may be, people are going to search for these terms. You want to make sure that when you have these pages of content, with the new Hummingbird update, they actually are requiring, and I wouldn't say require, they actually have it built into the algorithm to look more at the longer-termed, longer-tailed keyword phrases. So instead of someone searching for San Diego optometrist, they're actually going to be searching for maybe symptoms, but in a phrase or in a sentence. And that's something that you want to kind of consider. And the way that you can combat that is actually by creating FAQ pages. So if you actually have a FAQ page of maybe the top 10, top 15 most asked questions in your practice, again, this is going to require you to go to your staff to find out what kind of questions these people ask. Then you can answer those on that same page, and that's actually going to be a great source of content. So that anytime someone asks, Google or Siri, or their phone or Android or whatever, a certain, question that's commonly asked, it'll actually have that page pull up, and then that way it'll be on your website and people can look into it. You can also have each of those individual questions and answers go to a specific page if it's about that specific service. So there's a lot of great ways. Again, it's opening the doors for people to be able to find the information that they need so that they can legitimately make a buying decision when they're on your website. The worst thing someone can have is a bunch of people going to the website and then not converting, getting leads that don't convert, or filling out a form that doesn't convert. If you have someone at the front desk that manages all of the leads that come into your website, make sure that they are on top of it immediately. These need to be considered very hot leads. The biggest issue I've seen before is that people have leads that come in from the website, whether they're filling out a request appointment form, maybe they're sending an email from the website to the practice, whatever it may be, even if it's social media like I mentioned earlier, if they leave a comment or a review on social media and it's in the form of a question, whoever handles that, maybe you might have a couple people handle that, but it needs to make sure to be handled quickly, because what happens is there's a very short lifespan for that, and people will lose interest within half that day or the whole day. People will not be as fired up about it, because if for some reason someone's in, let's say, discomfort or pain and they need to see you about something, or they just, it's one of those things where they just can't deal with it anymore, and today's the only day they have off, so they have to do it today, or they have limited time to do it throughout the week, so they really need to schedule something now, to take time off of work, whatever it may be, they are going to consider a different business altogether if they don't get a response from you. So that's the biggest part of losing leads and not having them convert, is that process. So make sure that anyone that is in control of those leads that come in from the website is either, one, it goes to you and then forwards to them, or two, whoever's on it needs to make sure that they're completely on top of it. And if they are out for the day, or if they don't work all day, during your office hours, you need to make sure that someone monitors that email or whatever it may be, because that's going to be important. If someone's out and they don't get those leads, then you're missing out on those leads. So again, it's one of those things that you want to make sure to keep track of things. You want to make sure to follow up, and you want to make sure to train your staff so they know the importance of basically keeping these clients coming in, coming back, and basically having all of the leads come in, convert, so that they are now new clients as opposed to just keeping them as potential ones. So again, this is one of those things that you want to take a look at. You want to make sure that you keep an eye out for all that stuff. And again, if you have any kind of questions, definitely let us know. So I'm going to kind of leave it up for some questions and answers. This was a short webinar today, but I want to leave it up for some questions if anyone has any. And again, if anyone has any kind of questions that maybe relate to some of the services that we mentioned or some of the things that we mentioned here, definitely let me know. You can give us a call, or here we go, at 1-800-iMatrix. We can actually give you a personalized social media evaluation to kind of help you out with that part. We can also help give you any kind of website audit, kind of take a look at your website, make sure that you have proper call to action on there, making sure that it's a conversion-friendly website. That's the biggest thing. If the home page, which is the very first page that people get to, isn't conversion-friendly, then they're just going to leave the home page and they're going to bounce from the website. And that's a big issue as well. So you want to make sure that you have things in certain areas. Your name and your address and your phone number is in a good spot. You want to make sure that you have any kind of offers or coupons, new patient coupons, whatever it may be, available for them to see. You want to make sure that all this stuff is in vision, in viewpoint of where they're going to be, because they won't go and look for that info for you. You need to put it right in front of them. Okay, so I'm going to leave this time open for some questions. If anyone has any, feel free to go ahead and type in the question box. And thanks again.